Russia with love, I fly to you.
Hey guys, welcome back to another broadcast. Today I want to talk about Captain America #1, or more specifically, Ta-Nehisi Coates' curious little thought experiment, the start of it. Can I write a character that I kind of loathe? Now, I could link back to my previous kind of prediction from a couple months ago, or whatever the heck it was, where I basically said Ta-Nehisi Coates was going to use Captain America to lecture the audience. If you go back to his initial interviews on this, on taking on the job, on the surface it actually sounded like he was pretty humble. He was saying, this is a huge task before me. I don't know if I can do it. Any writer that takes on an iconic character, you would hope that they would kind of be humble like that and say like, hey, I gotta take this seriously. I gotta buckle down. Understandable. But the thing with Ta-Nehisi Coates, we know that he is an activist, that he is an ideologue, that he writes for The Atlantic, that he writes pieces that call for reparations and all sorts of strange things like that. So when he says, I don't know if I could do this, if you pay close attention to his words, he's basically saying, I don't really kind of believe anything this kind of character stands for, so I'm going to try and put my head in his headspace and figure him out. And so he's coming at it from that sort of challenge. It's more a challenge to himself as opposed to a challenge in terms of he already has an existing belief in what the character stands for, and he's trying to convey that in a productive and successful way to the audience. There is a distinct difference between the two mindsets. He has one where, again, Captain America is almost like Nick Spencer made him. He's a villain, and he's got to find a way to turn him into a heroic character. So that is Ta-Nehisi Coates, his particular challenge for this book. And so that gets into a point I want to make later on is, who the heck is this book actually meant for? Is it meant for all fans of Captain America, or is it only meant for people that kind of think like Ta-Nehisi Coates? I would make the argument that we are seeing straight from the get-go that this is just a continuation of what Nick Spencer and Mark Waid have done before him. So with Nick Spencer, you got the Captain America Trump Nazi allegory. Then with Mark Waid, that continued on, and you essentially got, this is what happened when Trump Nazi takes over the world, or those sorts of people. We fast forward in time, 7-8 years in the future, America has fallen apart. Now we have Ta-Nehisi Coates. It looks like it could very well be, who is the power elite? Well, this is actually Ta-Nehisi Coates saying, perhaps, that no, it's not Trump Nazi. It's actually Trump Nazi plus Putin Commie together. Those are the people that are actually ruining the world. And so then you have the whole kind of allegory, or the tying into the news cycles in which Trump wouldn't have won if it wasn't for the power elite, his friends in Russia who helped him to steal the election, those sorts of things. So you get every single aspect of the kind of left-wing ideologue arguments over the past couple years. And this particular issue starts off, there's an attack in Washington, D.C. Remnants of the old regime are back at it. People are fighting back and forth against one another. And the character Nuke, I won't get into all the Nuke stuff, but these sorts of clones of this particular character that made himself known in the 80s, if I'm not mistaken, during the Reagan era, of course. Anytime you have a Republican president, you have to do stuff like this. But anyways, so Cap is fighting the Nuke clones, and again, you have the American people that are divided. And one of the weird things about this issue is that Marvel is distancing itself from Nick Spencer's Hydra Cap. They want you to believe that it wasn't the cosmic Cosmic Cube Memory Shard Cap or whatever the heck he is, that's actually the real deal. And everything was muddled with the end of Secret Empire. And so now they're saying, like, no, Cosmic Cube Memory Cap, whatever, he's actually the real deal. And the other guy, it was all a ruse or whatever. And maybe some of this will be answered later on down the lines. Who knows? But the fact of the matter is that we're continuing the same old, same old. Technically, the writing actually is sound. I had said before that Nick Spencer kind of had his ode to postmodernism. That's basically what Secret Empire was. So if you're into that sort of thing, you're going to say, yeah, this is cool. Yeah, this is awesome. If you're not politically inclined, if you just sort of view things in a vacuum, you might like it as well. You're going to be like, no, this is actually the start of a very cool thriller. But if you're a little bit more informed and you see things like, okay, all of these people that were shady individuals in the past that helped to overthrow Hydra or whatever during their reign, they are now back in positions of power. And you have things like Dr. Celine Gallio, chair of the newly formed task force on faith-based initiatives. And then, of course, the White House praised von Strucker for aiding in the destruction of several Hydra splinter groups. So, an infinite amount of little news clips that Cap could have watched, but it turns out that these evil figures have worked their way into the administrative state, and now they are in charge of faith-based initiatives. Things along those lines. So that's, again, all these little breadcrumbs. If you view it in a vacuum, you're going to say, Doug, why are you just making a big deal out of it? What's wrong with faith-based initiatives? The creative real estate in a comic book is limited, so every single panel that you have is of importance. You can't say that there's ever a throwaway panel in the comic book, or if you are that sort of way, then you probably shouldn't be in comic books. Every single panel, there should be a very good reason why that panel exists. All of the text that accompanies those panels, none of it should be filler at all. Everything should have some sort of importance to it. If you are the writer and you were asked, why did you write that specific line right there? As a writer, you should be able to say, this is exactly why, this is how it ties into an issue or two issues down the road or whatnot, those sorts of things. So to me, it's very telling when you see things like, oh, shady individuals rooting their way back into government power, the power of elite, and they are the faith-based initiatives people. Very interesting. I guess the final thing that I would say about this is that my deal with Captain America these days is that he is always dour, despondent, morose, conflicted. You can never really have a Captain America where he's actually proud to be an American and proud to fight for his country. He always has to be beating himself over the head, basically telling the audience, man, it really sucks to be an American, and man, I wish I was something else. I don't know exactly what that something else is, but I'm going to keep looking for it, whatever the heck that is. It's definitely not, definitely not what guys like the Comicsgate crowd, what they would think that it means to be an American. And so again, that ties into who is this book exactly for? Who are the writers writing for? Are they writing for a very select, narrow band of political thought, a very small, shrinking audience of people who buy comic books but simultaneously kind of think, yeah, America is kind of a dumpy place to live, and I want to go out and I want to buy comic books that just reinforce my belief that I should just crawl into bed and suck my thumb and ask God why that I'm American. Those sorts of things. But I digress. Anyway, guys, I want to hear what you have to say. Did you read Captain America #1? Are you boycotting it? Are you not even buying it because Ta-Nehisi Coates is an ideologue? Let me know in the comment section below. It's been a while here, guys. I've been away for a little bit. My move is now complete. I'm setting up my office, as you could see. In fact, I actually have a bit of a patriotic theme myself to the room. Ta-Nehisi Coates might actually consider me a nuke-like figure. I've got Captain America Winter Soldier, a poster of that minimalist. I've got a Marine poster, old school recruitment. Got Rambo First Blood, old school U.S. Army. Uncle Sam, I Want You, recruiting poster, that sort of thing. Ta-Nehisi Coates would probably consider me a nuke-like figure. Don't be like that guy Doug. He's dangerous. But for now, guys, I'm going to let you go. Again, thanks to all my Patreon members, new and old. Thanks to all my subscribers, new and old. Really appreciate it, and I'll be back with a new video in the very near future. Again, thanks for everything, and I'll see you later. See ya.
To Russia I flew, but there and then I suddenly knew